good at it, but this is it right here. The struggle. If the Chippewa Valley has its own John 3:16, it's this. Summer here comes on like a Zaptig hippie chick jazzed on chlorophyll and flinging fistfuls of butterflies to the sun. Perry's celebration of summer as a dizzy young girl, indiscriminately throwing life everywhere, is always balanced in my mind by Edna St. Vincent Millay's similar personification of her as nothing more than futile and clueless in her 1921 poem entitled Spring, which ends, "It is not enough that yearly down this hill April comes like an idiot, babbling and strewing flowers." I think I understand Millay as she rolls her eyes at ideas of beauty that don't recognize the offensive at all. Light has no definition without the shadows it casts. But summer has a way of blinding us from the ugliness of the world, albeit momentarily. And I suppose it's a good thing, because winter is coming when death is apparent. Winter comes on slowly, gently. After all the life and exploration and wonder of summer, fall moves in to teach us a lesson that we all must learn: how to die well. She is a good and gentle teacher. She shows us what might be the beauty of death. It's now that we begin to see the identity of each tree. Leaves that, for the most part, have been the same shade of green all summer long now begin to reveal their true selves. Maples go orange, birches yellow, oaks red. Individuals that have been camouflaging themselves in monochromatic green can now be identified from even the greatest distances. Then the woods begin to quiet. Before we know it, the beaches are empty and the parks clear. Autumn in Wisconsin is inviting us to rehearse for our own death with her. We spend our lives doing everything we can to distract ourselves from the impending reality of our own deaths, but autumn is not fooled by this. She is here to shepherd us into winter. Mother Earth, indeed. As she gently turns down the thermostat, we find our posture curling and shriveling inward. We fold our arms and hug our bodies to stay warm. We are forced to pay attention to ourselves, to look inward. Thus begins the season of introversion. We begin to insulate ourselves from the world. Our shoulders turn in and our gaze moves from the horizon to the ground, to the earth we will sooner or later return to. The earth, meanwhile, has stripped herself bare. Her leaves on the ground like a discarded party dress and says, "Here is the real, naked me." Trees stand like skeletons, all of them alike. Individual identification is nearly impossible to the untrained. And then the world goes audibly and metaphorically silent. She doesn't speak a word. No songs, no invitations, no movement. Crows are the only birds you hear. Their calls stand against the silence as starkly as their blackness against a bleached world. Where summer got us outside of ourselves, winter forces us back in. Winter is for contemplation. Because of this, it's perhaps more important than ever that I get outside, even during the blizzards and cold snaps. It's important that I'm uncomfortable. These discomforts have a way of revealing to me the exact spot where the spirit which is willing separates itself from the flesh that is weak. All these things drive me deeper and deeper into myself. I become more introverted. I find casual conversation more difficult. I respond to fewer texts, answer fewer calls. Like the crows, my quietest thoughts are able to stand out against the bleakness of the world. Some of them is dark. Beauty here is anything but obvious. There isn't a person alive that doesn't know how to enjoy a beach on a sunny summer day. You have to do some serious inner work to be able to enjoy the winter winds. And it's here, in the space that winter offers, that I really connect, not with the world, but with myself. I think I find the connection because, unlike summer days, I need to look deep inside myself to find and grow those small parts of me that hide out in the dark places. Memories, feelings, maybe nostalgia, but also desires, hopes, aversion, fears, longings, disappointments. Without the sun, you have to look elsewhere for the light. It's like bringing a flashlight into the basement when the power is out. But if I practice autumn well, I'm ready. Winter makes us long for spring, and longing is a good thing. Anticipation is a far too underappreciated dynamic in life. We need things to look forward to. We need a new world to look forward to be drawn into the future, rather than constantly being shoved into it. Winter teaches us this. After what can seem like forever, we're back to spring, to life, to babies, to fistfuls of butterflies. The songs begin to return. Over the summer, we took our kids on a trip to Yellowstone, On the way home, we got trapped somewhere in the Bighorns for several hours on a mountain we couldn't name in the middle of the night with no cell or internet reception. It got scary, but we eventually got down. The next morning, we were reflecting on the previous night over coffee when my infinitely wise wife said something that stayed with me. I had commented that I felt like we saw Yellowstone, but that we had met that mountain, like Jacob meeting both God and himself when he wrestled the angel. She said, I think the earth invites us into the struggle, but we insist on living outside of it. And because of this, we don't relate to it. We don't know it. She's right. And because we don't know the earth, we don't know ourselves. Every creature, every tree, every mushroom, every crow, everyone but we modernized humans lives in the struggle. It's this struggle that tunes us into the universe, into one another, into the earth herself, into God, if you're able to call him or her that. When we embrace the struggle, when we move into more than just the sunny days at the beach, we meet our world. When we do this, we see, and more importantly, participate in the cycle. Summer, fall, winter, spring, young and waiting, grown and healthy, old and frail. Birth, death, rebirth. There's a liturgy to it all. Participation in the struggle that highlights hope and gives meaning to beauty.